Good morning. Arthur Offaly speaking on behalf of the Arthur Offaly Foundation, a totally independent organisation with no affiliation to any government or any paramilitary groups. Now, over the past 4 weeks, I have had meetings with a top civil servant from London. This person has met me on numerous occasions in both here in Belfast and in London, and has been very helpful in keeping me up to date on the progress of my father's case. At our last meeting, that this person was able to tell me something that I had already known since 1974. In the Royal Victoria Hospital, where my father, Arthur Joseph Offaly, died from his wounds, shot 5 times in the back at close range by a double agent who was employed by the British government and the RUC PSNI. Now, this mass murderer was a member of Sinn Féin IRA. He was their chief nothing officer employed by the Sinn Féin IRA leadership to root out known informers in the IRA, and was given complete freedom to shoot them, and he was answerable to no one. This also included Sinn Féin IRA members who were women, as no one was safe in this psychopath's hands. His name is Freddie Scappaticci. He was a top agent for the British government. His code name was Steak Knife, and he killed many Irish Catholics on their command, and was told that he would never have to stand trial for his murders and that he was untouchable in the eyes of the law. This psycho was also an informer for the corrupt RUC PSNI, and he was known as their jewel in the crown, and murdered many innocent members of the Irish public on their command. This corrupt police force also armed him with the guns to carry out his murders. This mass murderer was the man who shot my father 5 times in the back at close range in Newington Street in the North Belfast in 1974, and the RUC PSNI supplied him with the arm-led rifle and ammo to carry out his murder. That same arm-led rifle was used to shoot 5 other members of the public here in the north of Ireland. The RUC PSNI, calling themselves a police force, had many Sinn Féin IRA informers working for them, as well as members of loyalist groups such as UDA, UFF, UVF and the Red Hand Commandos, as well as members of the British Army from the UDR, all employed by the RUC PSNI to carry out their dirty work of killing innocent Catholics. Catholics in their eyes were expendable and should be exterminated. My father, Arthur Joseph Offaly, was one of the first innocent Catholics to be murdered by those police informers way back in 1974, and no one has ever been charged or arrested for his murder. Yet, the so-called authorities here in the north of Ireland all know who murdered my father. It was their British agent who was employed by the RUC PSNI from Sinn Féin IRA to murder my unarmed father. Now, I have spent 46 years fighting to get justice for my father, but I've got no help at all from those corrupt British courts and those corrupt lawyers and solicitors, all run by the British government, all take the oath to obey and serve that so-called head of state, the Queen. Now, that brings me back to the start of my statement when the civil servant from London told me that my father's case would never be allowed to reach the courts, as the case was too sensitive and it would open up a can of worms and many heads would roll. Now, the British government would have to explain why they employed Sinn Féin IRA terrorists to murder innocent members of the public, and what role the RUC PSNI also had to employ Sinn Féin Éire as informers and allow them to murder innocent members of the public. And now the same Sinn Féin Éire who work for the British government and were informers for the RUC PSNI and who murdered many innocent victims on their command. And now that same group of Sinn Féin Éire are running a government called Stormont for the British government, and that RUC PSNI, and calling themselves politicians. This is the same group who murdered my unarmed father, Arthur Joseph Rafferty, while Moss murderer who murdered my father is living in London under military supervision and paid by the British government. His name is Steak Knife, and a British agent, an RUC PSNI informer, and also a member of Sinn Féin Éire. So, I have already met the HET for years, no justice, and the Canova, also no justice. So what chance is there of me getting justice for my father, Arthur Joseph Rafferty, in this corrupt cesspit of a country run by a British government? Our courts are run by the British government. Our legal system is run by the British government. The corrupt police here are run by the British government. So, I leave it to yourself. Anyone who would like a tape of this story or any one of my stories can call me on my mobile 07715 921137. Leave your name and address and I will send you a tip free. Thank you. Anyone who has a story to tell and wishes me to air can call me on my mobile 07715 921137, or I can send a reporter out to get your story. And remember, I will tell your story as you tell me. Nothing will be cut out. Watch more of my stories on YouTube, arthurrafferty.com, YouTube Arthur Rafferty, Arthur Rafferty Docker, YouTube Jackspot 2012. That is a tip about the brutal murder of my father by a 5-man gang of Sinn Féin Éire led by Freddie Scappaticci and 5 other members of Sinn Féin Éire, all police informers on the orders of the British government, the RUC PSNI and the Special Branch. Now that Sinn Féin Éire scum Scappaticci carry out their orders on their command. Now my email is arthurrafferty1@gmail.com, and as I'm saying, I have trusted the government here to be decent with me, to get an honest case. I went to the courts for 46 years, no luck. The legal system here, 46 years, no luck. So I have now left it in the hands of the European Courts of Human Rights, where all my paperwork has been sent to them and I'm waiting on a response. Thank you very much and safe home.